It's clear. First question, yes, sir.
In the beginning I was going to disagree with nearly everything you said, but when you got to third part, there's a lot of things that we can agree on.
Yes, sir.
There were terms that you were using like you people, these catch-all phrases. And I was having a discussion, just a brief one with this black sister there.
Yes.
And I said, my ethnic background's Irish. Okay, and I just shared some of the history of the Irish. So when you say you people, who do you include? Do you include the poor working class, who are also the victim of Mary Stokes eugenics, and now we can see what's happened? Do you mean the poor Irish or the poor Portuguese? If you were to reduce your target zone, you're looking at a global elite, and it would be helpful and less inflammatory if you would point to the governors who we never were able to overthrow and allow the poor people, the poor white people, to get out of the line of your fire and then say, look at your side. The revolution, the shit was free and that the benefit to the Irish, as you know, with the genocide and all the other kind of things. So I wonder if you would steer your you to actually kind of put the microscope on and say, well, I don't mean 90% of you when I say you. Maybe.
I understand. The point made by the gentleman in the front was to basically point out that in our statements, we're very general in pointing the finger at you, including all persons before us. He was indicating to us that it really would be better if we would be a lot more pointed and more specific in identifying those who have set up systems where there is a class rulership and the masses of the people have nothing to do with that type of behavior. I concur and agree with him 100%. When you stand on a platform like this, it is extremely difficult to be so specific. You have to speak in general terms, but of course you must know what he's saying is absolutely correct. However, there is a caveat to that, in that, you know, the Nazis at Nuremberg, they postulated this idea that they were just following orders. But there comes a point in all human endeavor when, as a man, as a woman, we must have enough intelligence to be able to discern the difference between right and wrong. And where our governments attempt to lead us by the nose into evil and misdeeds, we have to say to the government, not in my name. But many people, because they have been co-opted into the system in terms of that mortgage, that debt for life, in terms of that job where they are literally obligated to turn up on Monday morning, whether they have the flu or not, because they are 2 paychecks away from disaster. We understand that many of the people know better, but it's called tacit agreement. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Many people know because they've seen the patterns of behavior that much of what they're getting on the evening news is a damn lie. But they hold their noses, they say. During the recent American election, what did they say? They said, oh, you're voting for the lesser of 2 evils. Well, my contention is that you shouldn't vote for no evil. You should completely abstain from such a wicked system where you are forced to choose between a Clinton, who is an absolute female demon, and a Trump, who is an absolute, it's difficult to find words to describe what that man represents. But my point is this. I take your point. I like your reasoning. And we understand that. And the Irish have suffered tremendously at the hands of the English. We know this. And when my parents came here, the signs they met was no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. So we have an affinity. We understand. we can identify. But the IRA, who did not want to be ruled from Westminster, a Caucasian man, Irish, an Englishman, if you put the two of them together, you can't tell the difference unless one of them opens his mouth and you hear his accent. But the Irish were so incensed at being ruled by an external force, i.e. Westminster and its military, that they took up arms to free themselves from the British, from the English. Let me tell you something, man. As much as we sympathize with you, Irish people ain't felt no pain like black people. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Don't be emotional. We're talking, see what we're talking here. We're talking here mathematics. This ain't emotion. This is actual facts. According to conservative estimates, over 100 million black people lost their lives in the Middle Passage between Africa and the so-called New World. That's just in the journey over here. So don't make no comparison between your suffering and the 6 million Jews who went over 4 years. We're talking 400 years of the most heinous treatment meted out to any people in the annals of history that we continue to suffer today. So I'm saying it's important that you don't try to conflate what you suffered with our suffering. We have to be very specific about ourselves. We're not here. We are not here to represent the Irish people. We respect them, we honor them, we understand what they've been through. But the Irish people have their representatives. Our representatives are gunned down, evil spoken of, conspired against, banned, imprisoned. The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is my leader and teacher, a very beautiful human being who saved my life with a word from 5,000 miles away. That man is been banned from this country since 1986.
He deserves it.
I've got to speak specifically into that reality. I don't waste a lot of time bringing in everybody else. If you want to ally with us, we are very willing to ally with you in terms of truth, in terms of principle or whatever, but you can't force us down the road of diluting. Hear what I'm saying? We don't dilute the very specific message to the black man. It's a very specific message because it's a very specific injury that needs very specific cures. And so this is why we speak like this. But I do take your point, and I do understand it, and I don't disagree with it. But I hope you also understand what I'm saying, and that we can agree that this is a strategy in terms of how we have to approach our different situations when it comes to dealing with this system of things.
We've had 3 now, that's unfair.
In your roundup, the last thing you said, you got that net out again.
In the last of your 15
No, because
the reason I said it, because you said, you don't understand my suffering.
I'm speaking to you.
Right.
As an individual.
Am I guilty for your suffering?
No, well,
Vicarious.
well, let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. There are lots of white people who say, to us, look, man, I wasn't involved in slavery. I didn't do nothing to your people. Understand what I'm saying. The surname that the slave master gave to my family was Jones. He was a Welshman. Many modern day Welsh people, I have some good friends in Wales, they will say to me, wasn't involved. The reality is this, even though they were not involved, they are still beneficiaries today. Yes. It's called cause and effect. Yesterday is related to today as today is related to tomorrow. You will not get us. you, look, look. You know, if you want, we can get into an argument about this. We can get into an argument about this, but I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm telling you, not something based on some emotional diatribe. I'm telling you, you are a beneficiary. The vast majority of Caucasian people today who are living within this society are beneficiaries from the suffering of my ancestors. Because this, of course you could be, but this is how this became Great Britain. Okay, next question, yes sir.